Back. Decided to do this ad hoc live stream with brother Farhan to kind of talk about what just happened. Yeah. Hi, Farhan. How's it going?
Hey, everybody. Good to see you, Abdullah.
So I wanted to talk about what the heck just happened. And me and you, we were talking about a couple hours ago about a live stream that was very interesting because it was right on the topic of something that we both talk about all the time, which is atheism rational? Call in live. So this is an invitation to non-Muslims to join the conversation to talk about atheism. It had Mohamed Hijab, Hamza Tzortzis, Imran, Hussein, and Suboor Ahmad. And lo and behold, we joined this conversation, or at least we attempted to join the conversation. And what happened?
Well, I mean, I tried to join the conversation and I kept getting kicked out. So I was like, is there something wrong with my computer? And then next thing you know, I tried to do it again. And this time it said that you were blocked. So I was like, hold up, what just happened? I thought that this was going to be a genuine philosophical conversation about the nature of reality, about what is rational and what is not rational. And I was blocked. And so for the longest time, I was asking folks, I was like, why am I blocked? Why am I not allowed to enter the chat? Right. And, there wasn't any response. So ended up disappointed because I was really looking forward. I've been trying to talk to Mohamed Hijab and Hamza Tzortzis for a long time. Hijab actually through email accepted, but then he invited me to London, and I said, to go out to Hyde Park, which is, I would be willing to do that as well, but the amount of money that it costs not only to make the trip, but the amount of money that I would lose to fulfill the role that I play would be too much. So I was wondering if we could do an online conversation at some point. And this was a perfect opportunity, and
exactly
blocking me.
At this point, there's like literally no excuse to have to fly over to see someone. We all know, especially now during the lockdown, that doing an online conversation is perfectly fine. I mean, for my office work, we're doing online conversations all the time. We're doing teleconferencing. I mean, this is the 21st century. So it just seems like an excuse. Now, this might sound like an excuse from our end. So let's just talk about how this actually started. I wanted to show the actual live chat because it's not showing yet, maybe because it just finished, the stream just finished. In the live chat, I started typing with my official account, Abdullah Samia, and I'm like, hello. And there was like tens of comments saying, Abdullah, join in. Abdullah, don't be a coward. Abdullah, come on the show. You'll be roasted. I can't wait to see you being roasted. You'll be finished. Mohamed Hijab will finish you. And let me tell you, like, how I was feeling. So as we were talking before this thing happened, I was kind of nervous to do this. I mean, to go on the channel, because I'm like, well, it's going to be 4 against 1. Is it going to be another one of those, you boy, you're finished, you boy? And I'm like, I don't want to deal with that. Like, I don't want this. And, them cutting off the mic, basically like running the show. But actually the show was pretty decent. They did actually let people talk. They were respectful. They gave people a chance to like give the thoughts. But unfortunately, the first thing that happened was I got banned from the chat. And I was trying to leave a super chat, and it's like, oh, super chat cannot go through. I'm like, oh, that's weird. So I'm like typing. The messages were going through just fine on the live chat. But then I said, okay, let me check and see if I'm banned, because why would the super chat not go through? So I went into my other account, Abdullah Abu Adam, and lo and behold, none of my messages was showing. And everyone's like, oh, Abdullah Samir ran away. He ran away. And I was like, what? And they're like, oh, he's a coward. I'm like, what? I was nervous about doing this whole thing. I wasn't so super confident talking. I mean, these guys, this is a full-time job, right? They're spending the days studying arguments for Islam, studying arguments, philosophical arguments against Islam. And this is what they do for a living. I don't do this for a living. Like, I spend my spare time doing this. So I was personally nervous. why did you want to join the conversation? Like, what was your sort of motivation? What did you want to come across? Or because you're not atheist yourself, how do you describe yourself? Like, what's your position?
Right. So I from a philosophical point of view, I to be an agnostic theist, and so agnosticism points to the fact that none of the arguments reach a necessary conclusion. So we don't know. I certainly don't. And then theism is a speculative or belief that there is a God for whatever reason I choose to give, right? But I wanted to talk about the fundamental nature of reality.
Mm-hmm. You're cutting out a little bit.
The truth claim, or the philosophical arguments for God's existence, challenge that narrative.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So in a nutshell, the idea was to have a philosophical discourse on the nature of reality and the truth claims that they're making, whether they can make those truth claims, that the arguments that they have, that they reach a necessary conclusion. I did want to touch on, some of the other topics that they mentioned. Obviously, hell was brought up. So that's my pet peeve conversation. And they kept on bringing up evolution. And I wanted to ask them about their alternative view to biological evolution. And so those are just some basic questions I wanted to put their way, and it was going to be as simple as that. So I don't understand why you and I were blocked. And they're saying that they're going to have another program next week. There were some Muslims, as you saw in the chat, who were like, give Farhan a chance, which I was grateful for. I appreciate those Muslims who did think that, but I wasn't given a chance, which I was disappointed in.
Yeah, it strikes me as strange that they have this show that's called Call In Live, Is Atheism Rational? And then the very people that are atheists or agnostics, and they kept posting in the comments, we're welcoming non-Muslim atheists and agnostics. Please join. If you're a Muslim, please leave the studio, like the call-in studio, because we want non-Muslims. We want to focus on non-Muslim atheists. And lo and behold, I'm a non-Muslim atheist. You're an agnostic. The fact that we're murtad or ex-Muslim is sort of beside the point, because like obviously you'll find all sorts of atheists, right? There's ex-Muslim atheists, but there's also Hindu atheists. And what I noticed was they kept picking people that were not previous Muslims. For example, Lance, this guy, Ask Yourself. There was another guy, his name was Tom T Jump. He has a channel, an atheist channel as well. None of these guys have any familiarity with Islam, which is not really, I mean, I'm not even sure why it even matters if we're talking about, is atheism rational? Why does it matter if I was a former Hindu, or if I was a former Christian, or if I was a former Muslim? Why exclude former Muslims from this dialogue? If you're claiming to have a call-in show that you're welcoming people to talk on the topic of Islam, not even Islam. I mean, I would understand if it was Islam, it'd be even more strange, because we are former believers. And it's not to say that every single ex-Muslim is an expert on Islam, but it strikes me as if, they're picking on the weakest arguments, or maybe there's another reason. Maybe there's another reason they don't want to talk to us. Is it possibly the case that if they even see us on the stream, that gives us legitimacy? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand it either, Abdullah. I think the fact that, if anybody claims to be an ex-Muslim, naturally there's going to be a hesitancy in thinking, is this person going to troll, or are they going to insult? Are they going to add any value to the conversation? And I think, Abdullah, you and I are pretty cordial people. We try to get along with Muslims, try to get along with everybody that we talk with. And so it would be one thing if we were trolling, or we were viciously attacking Islam, without any merit. But I certainly am not. And so I think, just all I was asking for was a chance. And, we would have probably, even if we did get in, we would have been able to present the question and then listen to for their answers. And that's perfectly fine. You know what I mean? That's perfectly fine. I'm just asking for the chance.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that they would
Yeah.
give the chance, but they didn't, unfortunately.
And I'm just going to be clear about this. This is their platform. This is SCDawah, their YouTube channel. They're not under any obligation to host anybody they don't want to. They don't owe me anything. They don't owe you anything.
Yeah.
And I don't owe anybody else anything. It's frankly their own choice whether they want to host us Ex-Muslims or not. The question is, though, why pretend like you're welcoming everybody when actually you're not, right? And the funny thing is, like you were saying, a lot of Muslims were saying, like, you know, talk to these guys. Like, I want to see Abdullah get roasted. I want to see him be, you know, get destroyed, whatever. And frankly speaking, maybe they would have done an amazing job. Maybe they would have destroyed me, so to speak, right? Maybe I don't know. Like, I'm not even sure how it would have gone. I was frankly nervous myself. I wasn't coming in here like, yeah, I'm gonna destroy these guys. I don't have the attitude. I never did. I was like nervous, but I'm like, well, this is an opportunity. The extending an open hand. And the first thing was they blocked me from the chat. And then right away, I'm like, okay, well, that's weird, but let me try to join anyways. And I clicked on the StreamYard link to join the show. And lo and behold, I got in the waiting room, so to speak. There's a waiting room, and that kicked me out. And I think that's what happened to you too. You got into the thing, and then it kicked you out, right? And then you got in again, and then finally they just banned you.
Pretty much. Without explanation. I asked for an explanation, but like you said, Samir, it's true. You know, if they don't want to talk to certain people, that's their prerogative. But the question is, why not? Why not talk to us? You know, Hijab has had plenty of conversations at Hyde Park. So has Tzortzis, and you know, one or two of them are people who have claimed to have been Muslim point. And so, you know, I don't understand why we were banned in this instance, but it's unfortunate. You know, there should be open dialogue so long as it's respectful. Yep, that's the screen that I got. Exactly. So, so yeah, no, I mean, you know, Samir, I would hope that Muslims and people who used to be Muslim are able to have reasonable discussions, respectful discussions on pertinent issues. There shouldn't be a reason why we can't.
Indeed, absolutely. And like you said, these guys, I mean, who is better equipped to talk to ex-Muslims than Hamza Tzortzis, Mohamed Hijab? Like, I don't know too much about Imran Hussein and Subboor Ahmad. I know Suboor. I've tried to engage with him a couple of times on Facebook, but he didn't really respond. It's his choice again. But like, if these guys are not willing to talk to us, I mean, I don't know. And it's not just me, even you. Like, even you were not allowed in the studio, and you were like actually blocked. I was blocked from the chat. I mean, it's almost, I don't want to say it's a conspiracy. I mean, you know, often we're the ones that's accused of a conspiracy. We're the ones that are accused of hiding the evidence, of having ulterior motives, of doing this for money. Like, people were saying to me in the live stream, oh, you're not gonna get your $10 donations if you do this, ha ha ha. Like, people are gonna cancel the donations to you. But what about the donations to Aida? What about the donations to Mohamed Hijab, to Hamza Tzortzis? So all of these guys are benefiting financially. These guys live off Dawah. This is their bread and butter. And if their bread and butter is to make money, what is it? Are we the cog? Are we the wrench in the cog that is, you know, throwing the whole thing, breaking apart the whole sort of illusion of them being unbeatable? Because, you know, Mohamed Hijab has a reputation. He debated David Wood, and you know, he had his conversation with Alex O'Connor. You know, that there's a lot of issues there as well. But like, he comes across as a person that's, you know, willing to die. And maybe, I'm not even sure it's his fault. I don't know who decided, but clearly they were completely ignoring us, not addressing. And then halfway through the conversation, they started to post, "Oh, ex-Muslims are not the focus of this show." But what does my ex-Muslimness have to do with whether atheism is rational? With anything, right?
Exactly.
And you're saying they invited stop spamming, but not you.
I was like, what's up with Stop Spanning being invited on, but you and I apparently being banned. I don't know if you tried to join the chat and got that you did, and it said that you've been blocked.
No. They kicked me out like 2 or 3 times, and then I just stopped trying. They take it a step further.
But yeah, I don't know the other two brothers, but Hijab and Tzortzis, they have a really decent grasp of the rules of logic, logical fallacies, how to use logic to make claims, and truth claims specifically. And so, you have to have a basic understanding, if not a good understanding, of the rules of logic and philosophy in order to engage with these people. So I understand why for a lot of people, it might be daunting to try to converse with them. But for the most part, if you understand the basic rules of logic and you don't contradict yourself, and you deal with the subject matter, and they deal with the subject matter, that's the best type of conversation. And that's the thing, I wanted to point out, the laws in their logical conclusion, not the argument necessarily itself, but whether the conclusion necessarily follows the premise. And so, those are conversations that we could have had. I was, Samir, I thought we were in, dude.
Yeah.
I thought we were in. I was like, finally, we get to engage. This is it. This is the time, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that opportunity was taken away from us.
Yeah, and honestly, from my perspective, what I was planning to the argument I was planning to present was simply that, okay, whether or not your religion is true, whether or not God exists, does that make your religion true? I mean, we can mentally masturbate all we want about whether God exists or doesn't exist. Kalam, cosmological argument, ontological argument, all of these arguments that most common people never ever engage with anyways. But at the end of the day, what matters is, did God send a revelation? I mean, I think it's simple enough to kind of present that and let them argue about, well, if you're saying that atheism is irrational, atheism to me is simply, I'm not convinced by the evidence for any God claims, right? Like any of the God claims. So, I mean?
It's a skeptical point of view.
Yeah, it's skeptical point of view. And Mohammed Hijab was saying something about, he has his own way of dealing with this. He was saying, well, if it doesn't, you can't, he was going on a different argument with stop spamming, but I don't know, like I said, I don't know how it would have gone. I wanted to show one more thing as well, which is now it's kind of clear, and it's quite obvious now that they heavily control the discourse on the platforms. So if you look at if you look at the comments and you look at the number of comments, you'll see that every single comment that they are approving is all pro Dawah, pro their side. Stop S is so arrogant. Love seeing them destroyed. We call, basically, I wanted to hear him refute atheism. It's all of the only showing one side of the story while claiming to be like a sort of speaker's corner. And this brings me back to when myself, and it's called Speaker's Corner Dawah, SCDawah. Speaker's Corner is known as this place in London, that in Hyde Park, I believe, that everyone can come and everyone gets a free and open platform to bring forth the argument and to argue about, let the best man win, as they say, let the best arguments win. So they're conveying a sort of like, we are open and honest and ready for dialogue, but it just doesn't feel that way, to me. I don't know if you notice.
Yeah, I mean, and you never know, they might change their mind and invite us next week or the week after that. I mean, if I were to guess, I would imagine
they blocked you, they blocked me from the chat. It doesn't feel like they're willing to engage with us.
Right. Maybe it was too spontaneous for them, and they didn't know how to handle it. I don't know what the reason is, but there shouldn't be a reason that should keep us from conversing. Certainly, I don't think that they're afraid to talk to us. They might be weary of giving ex-Muslims a platform in the sense that it might encourage others to question Islam, right? They don't like the idea of an ex-Muslim being visible to them, to Muslims who might be on the fence or might have had doubts, and we reinforce those doubts, that kind of thing. There could be all sorts of psychological reasons in terms of why you might want to prevent somebody from speaking. But this is not, this is not personal. It's simply about truth claims and rationality. The nature of reality, what is it, and what represents it best. And if those are conversations that anybody should be able to have with them. They have sound knowledge as it pertains to, philosophy in general, the Enlightenment philosophers, logic, all of that kind of thing. So they should, by logically speaking, they're not afraid of speaking to the arguments that we're going to present. I wouldn't think so. Exactly, it's just the ex-Muslim factor, right?
Yeah.
And
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. I'm disappointed. I thought this is like the thing was changed. The game was changing. Because like I said, it's happened to me before. Like Abdullah Gondal and I were actually kicked out of a group. This was way back in 2018, and it was called Speakers Corner Hyde Park. It was a Speakers Corner group, and it was for interfaith dialogues, Muslim, Christians, atheists, and agnostics. And we got kicked out of the group for, in my opinion, no good reason, just because we were like rocking the boat too much. I don't know. I'm not sure what it is, but it's disappointing to see this sort of thing happen over and over again, right? And maybe they think we're trolls, and we don't actually. I don't know. Maybe they think we're irrelevant. I don't know how they can think that at this point. I mean, that's besides the point now, right? But like, if I made a list of all of the times this happened, I mean, it's kind of a depressing list, right, on my blog, and it's just happening over and over and over and over again, where we would have an offer to discuss and just would not go through. We'd get blocked. The video would be removed or deleted. Yasser Qadi, for example, even blocked me after that whole incident happened. It was only twice that this actual discussion that I've been able, since I was logging it. I haven't been logging it lately, but there was 3 times that we had a conversation, right? Nadir Ahmed, him, he had a conversation with us. Another fellow from Facebook that Abdullah Gondal and I both know, but he didn't want to use his real name. He had a conversation with us. And then Omar Abdul Fattah had a discussion with Abdullah Gondal. So there was a couple of cases where this happened, but overall it's just really disappointing to see this is a pattern, and I do hope it changes. I do hope that we have more conversations and dialogue, and the future is more of us talking to each other, not talking at each other.
It's one thing, not to want to talk, but let's deal with this tactic, Samir, that's often used when we do attempt to speak with them or present our views, say in a public platform such as this. That often comes up is, why don't you just move with your life?
Yeah.
Okay, you've given up Islam, let it go, move on with your life, type of deal. And that's fine. For the most part, Samir, I think you and I have our own lives that we live. There are things that we're interested in, right? And we pursue conversations with those that are willing. Like, you and I don't go around talking to Muslims randomly, wanting to convince them that Islam isn't true. At least I don't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not interested in just talking to random Muslims. I'm interested in talking to people who are adamant about their truth claims and about the nature of reality. And that's an interest that I have. And for the most part, we have moved on. We're living our lives. But just like you're willing to, you're willing and able to talk about what you believe and what you think about the nature of reality and whatnot, we should be able to have those conversations too. And it also pertains to social justice issues. If, for example, somebody who chooses to leave Islam negate right of freedom of speech, that's an important issue too. And I think that should be. I wanted to touch on that in this live broadcast as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Like I'm not forcing anyone to talk to me. I'm not going to force them to talk to me, but I do think it's worth calling out like what just happened. I do think it's worth pointing out that for whatever reason, we were excluded from this conversation. They have their reasons, whatever it is. They're claiming to want to talk to atheists, but for whatever reason, they're willing to talk to Tom and they're willing to talk to Lance, but they won't talk to Farhan and Abdullah. Now, whatever that is, whatever reasons they have, that's their choice. but it's worth calling out for what it is. So that's all I had really. I didn't want to make this too long. Thank you, Farhan, for joining me for the conversation.
Sure. So can I do one more thing? One more thing before we sign off? Is that cool? It's just going to take 2 seconds. So one other thing that I wanted to bring up, because Hamza Tzortzis tried to take this route, and he wasn't referring to ex-Muslims. He was just talking about atheists in general, saying that these are emotional reasons why you think this way or why you believe this way. Even brought up psychodynamics and stuff like that. And my only thing is, what about for people who believe in Islam? How many people do you think that go to the masajid or actually convert to the religion do it for emotional reasons, and that you can psychoanalyze why they're there? It's not fair. If you want to deal with the subject matter, let's deal with the logic and science of it, rather than randomly accusing somebody of having an emotional perspective.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's fair either. So that's my last spiel. I thank you for inviting me on, Samir.
All right. It's been a pleasure, Farhan. And those of you who haven't checked out Farhan's channel, he infrequently uploads videos. He did recently upload a video on Black Lives Matter. So do check out his channel, and Farhan Qureshi. And talk to you guys later. Bye.